My name is Jake, and this is West Ham Unofficial. Good evening. Welcome back to, is this episode 10 tonight? Episode 10 of a big talk about football. We've got 10 people in the chat. Put your thoughts, comments, and all of our stuff tonight into the chat. Hello, Daz, already in the chat. West Ham fans coming on from 7:35 tonight. We're gonna have a good night. It is. We're going to have a good night. But please, before I do get started, please make sure you do subscribe to West Ham Unofficial. We are creeping up to 500 subscribers. We are currently on 472. So that's another quick math, 28 is that, to 500 subscribers. So please get me, could you get me there as soon as possible. Josh, good luck. Jake at home watching with the family. Have a good show. Thank you very much. But tonight we do have at 8:00 the NHS clap for carers. We're back in lockdown. We are going to be doing that tonight because I believe we are going past 8:00 tonight. We will be doing that. I will be clapping for the NHS. But without we do, evening Lee, get your thoughts and comments in. West Ham fans from 7:35 tonight, Lee. So I'm sure you'll be looking forward to that. But without further ado, let's bring our first guest on. It's Dom, who's an Arsenal fan. Dom, how are you?
Hello, Jay. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm all right. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Good. So you're an Arsenal fan. Let me just get my questions up. Arsenal, they've picked up form lately. What do you really put that down to for you?
To be honest, I think playing the Croydon De Bruyne in Smith Rowe, he's been playing fantastic.
Yeah.
Basically, just playing the youth, really. They've got a bit of passion. They've got a bit of fight about them. They're not fearless. They're really fearless, and they just play football and want to play. And yeah, the last time I spoke to you, we had lost like 5 in a row. So I'm happy we've got three wins now. So yeah, really good.
Yeah, just before we do get on into it though, I'd like to say a shout out to my niece. It's her 6-month birthday today. Half a kind of birthday, so a huge happy birthday to you. I know you'll be watching. So carrying on, Dom, with you. 4-0 win against West Brom in your last game. I mean, you mentioned about that youth there. I mean, they really, I've watched a bit of Arsenal. They look like they want to play, not like some other players you've had lately. They look like they want to be there, and they're really kind of playing for the shirt. And that showed 4-0 win in the snow against West Brom. What was your thoughts about that?
I thought that was probably the best game I've seen us play for a long time. That second goal, for instance, that was the old Arsenal. That was the one touch, just pinging the ball around for fun, really. Kieran Tierney, he's got to get a massive shout out. He's been our best player this season by a mile. Definitely captain material in the future, I think. But yeah, at the moment, we've got confidence, which we didn't have 5-6 weeks ago. But hopefully it continues. Hopefully we can win tomorrow night against Newcastle in the Cup, keep that run going. But yeah, hopefully he just keep playing the youth and give them a chance really to show what they've got. Because at the moment, they're the ones that are playing, like you said, for the shirt. They're playing for Arsenal. They want to win. And it's nice to see.
Yeah, it is. And I think definitely since you've brought the youth in, I didn't really think Arteta had another option, really, did he? Because the first team normal squad, they weren't playing up to any sort of Premier League standard. And they've come in, and especially Smith Rowe for me, he's been class, I think.
Absolutely fantastic. But the fans were crying out for that for weeks before. But he wanted to stick to the first team. It didn't work. Because in Europe, we played the kids and they won 6 out of 6. So in the end, he listened to the fans. So hopefully they will get a long run in the team, and they can keep performing at a good standard and stay in the team.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, we've got another fan coming on now. We've got a Chelsea fan, been on before. Steve, how are you?
Good, thank you. You?
Yeah, but I'm all right. Thanks for coming on
Hello.
tonight.
There you go.
So we'll come to you. Your last game, I think it was 3-1 loss to Man City. What's your thoughts on that? And do you think you should have kind of got something out of that? Do you think?
No, I think we didn't. We did an Arsenal really. We couldn't be bothered to turn up, and I with respect to the current last two games. But I just don't think we turned up. There was just something about that evening. I think if we'd have been there all night, I'm not sure we'd have scored. The one goal we scored was quite good. If we'd have been there all night, I think we would have just. I'm grateful that Man City didn't get too carried away, because it looked like one of those nights when they could have done.
Yeah, definitely. I think I did watch the game and I thought they were a different class. I thought definitely in the first half they just kind of went through the whole Chelsea side really. So to you, you've got FA Cup. It's FA Cup kind of week now, isn't it? You've got Morecambe. Should be winning that definitely, don't you think?
Well, I mean, FA Cup games against, should we say, lower sides are always a potential banana skin, as nearly every team can attest to. But I think we've got a pretty good record against or lower division teams over the last few years. FA Cup we do tend to like as a competition. Yeah, there's always a risk that something is going to go completely Pete Tong. But that's the beauty of the FA Cup. And if you're a purist from the footballing perspective, you almost want it to happen. You just rather it didn't happen to your own team.
Yeah, well, definitely with the FA Cup, I think it's been downplayed by a lot of managers in the last couple of years. But it's a great cup. A couple more fans coming on now. We've got Ollie, who's a Liverpool fan. How are you, Ollie?
I'm doing all right, Jake. How are you, mate?
I'm good, thanks. And we've got a couple of Southampton fans coming on. Colin and Oscar, how are you tonight?
Hi, Jake. Good, thank you.
Yeah.
So, Ollie will come.
Timing.
Ollie will come
together.
Yeah, we'll come to that now. Really, Ollie, we'll start with you. Disappointing loss against your squad, really, and at Southampton. What's your thoughts on that? Your disappointing loss. Oh, Ollie, you there?
Well, of course, it's very disappointing. It's a game we really wanted to win, as it would have put us 3 points clear at the top. But then again, you have to take your hats off to Southampton and say they defended really well. They played well. They had their game tactically spot on. And Danny Ings, the great striker he is, I still don't think we should never have let him go, really. I mean, what a third choice striker he would have been, but you wanted to play more minutes. And he just does what he does. He puts the ball in the back of the net. So, that's football, isn't it? Well, fair play to Southampton, really.
Yeah. Colin, will come to you. I think you couldn't really, any side against Liverpool can't concede early, otherwise you do worry that you're going to get absolutely rampaged. But there was a great goal from Danny Ings. I think it was the second minute just to get you going, and you defended as a unit to see out the 3 points.
Yeah, I certainly didn't expect to win that game, but yeah, it was. I thought when we scored that early, oh no, this is going to be 88 minutes of stress now, and that's what it was like, really. But I thought we played very well in the first half, and that was pretty even, really. But second half, it was a bit like watching Zulu, a bit like Rorke's Drift. But we were certainly backs to the wall, but they defended really well, and a lot of great blocks in and around the 6-yard area. So Forster didn't actually have that much to do, really, given how much pressure we were under. He didn't make many big saves, put it like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, good win.
Yeah, Oscar, what was your thoughts on that? I think it's fair to say that it was a surprise, really.
Yeah, I definitely didn't go expecting. I went into that game expecting to I'd be happy with 1-0, 2-0 loss, really. Didn't want to get hammered, but because unless we got hammered, we couldn't really go down. We couldn't go below West Ham. So 1 point I would have been very happy with. Definitely wasn't expecting a win, and I think we played really well. But we can't take all the credit. I don't think Liverpool were at their best, but still.
No, No, but no.
They got away with one on the penalty shouts, maybe, but sometimes you do, sometimes you don't.
Yeah, well, there was 2 that were put under consideration, and it could have gone a different way any day. But Dom, coming back to you, Arsenal fans. So for you, do you think that you need to strengthen in January in any places in the transfer window, or do you think just stick with the youth now and continue?
To be honest, I would stick with the youth, but we need to get rid of a few players. Really, we've got a bit of dead wood that's still there. So hopefully we can get rid of a few. Maybe bring in one player, maybe a creative player to help Smith Rowe. But I don't think we need much at the moment. We just got to stick to the young guns. They're doing the job, so give them a chance.
Yeah. Well, Arteta's gave him a chance, and they've took his hand off. Really,
Exactly.
Steve,
We're only
Steve, coming back to you, I think we'll talk about Lampard now. Do you think his job's safe at Chelsea?
I think every manager had a dodgy spell. I mean, I think Jurgen Klopp's had a dodgy spell. Arteta's just come out of a dodgy spell. Hassan had a considerable dodgy spell with an and I think there's a little bit more tolerance, especially in the Chelsea shed, from the senior management. I don't think Abramovich has quite the clout that he used to with regard to getting rid of people, re-employing people, etc., etc. I think this new managing director, CEO they've got is actually much more in tune with first team affairs, and I think this is at some point he has to say to himself, "This is a project," and he always said that Frank Lampard coming in was a project. Okay, he spent a lot of money. We all know teams that have spent a lot of money that haven't done very well. I think his job is going to be safe in the short term. Certainly, I think to the end of the season, it will be a question of how the season pans out. I think we're having a dreadful time. But if you think back to the beginning of the season, we weren't having a dreadful time. So.
Yeah, well, a stat that not every Chelsea fan will want to hear. I saw this week that West Ham and Chelsea are level in the table. One spent 230 million in the summer, one spent 5 million. But I think it's definitely a work in progress at Chelsea. But Ollie, coming back to you, it's been a big problem, and Jurgen Klopp certainly talked about it, is that you've lost many defenders. How do you think that the defenders that are there are coping, Ollie? How do you think?
Well, I think since Fabinho's coming, I think he's probably looked like the best centre half in the league. Really, I think he's been absolutely brilliant. I mean, what a signing! Apart from that, I mean, the others have done really well, haven't they? The youngsters have done really well. They lacked a bit of pace, which is why I think he played Henderson in the middle instead of Reece Williams. Obviously, he was up against Ings, and Ings is bloody quick, isn't he? And Walcott. But it's not really that. I think Liverpool are lacking scoring goals away from home. Since Josh has been injured, Mane, Firmino, and Salah don't really look like they want to do much. Whether that's got something to do with opposition teams working us out, finding a way to play against us. But nobody else looks really interested to score any goals.
Yeah.
So I think that's the main problem, really, rather than leaking in goals.
Yeah.
So I think they've done really well. The lads playing in defence.
Quite interesting, actually.
It is, yeah.
Obviously, your very strong kind of front line isn't performing as well, whereas people are obviously alluding to the defence kind of nightmare that you're having. But
they seem to have worked them out. I think a lot of them have worked out Firmino. And Salah doesn't look like he wants to be there half the time. He looks all lazy and he just doesn't want to. It's not what he was.
Yeah.
Just running around up and down the wing. But
Mane's definitely the best player they got at the moment.
Yeah, when Mane's on form, he's got to be the best left winger in the world. I can't think of anyone better than him out on the left, really.
Yeah.
But like I said, I mean, they Southampton played a really good game against him. Fair play. They defended deep, and they deserved at least a point, if not all three. So fair play to them, really. But, did what they had to do.
Yeah. Dom and Steve, thank you for coming on tonight. You've got the link if you want to pop back on at any point. But thank you for coming on tonight.
Cheers,
You're
Jake.
welcome. Cheers, Jake. Good to see you, mate.
Cheers, guys.
Right, so before we bring a couple more guests on, Colin, Oscar, I'd like to come to you. I was going to talk about you've got your FA Cup game against Shrewsbury, but that's been called off today. So I'd like to kind of talk about your set piece king, really, James Ward-Prowse. How kind of vital is he to Southampton? Colin, I'll start with you.
Well, he's he's been massive, really, because it means that we are a genuine threat from set pieces, not just in delivery, but anywhere near the area. He's in with a shout, sticking it in, as we've seen. So it's a massive thing, because it's hard to break down defences in the Premier League from open play these days. So the chance a set piece brings is really important. And if you get good delivery or a possible shot on goal from them, then it's massive. So yeah, big benefit for us really. So yeah. He's good. Been
Oscar,
good.
what's your thoughts on James Ward-Prowse?
Well, I think, as well as obviously he's a great free kick taker, but I think as a captain, he's a really good captain as well, because he was a bit of a pushover when he was young. But I think when Hasenhüttl came in, he sort of said to him, "You need to sort of toughen up to have a chance to get in the team." And I think he's toughened up well. He's a really good captain, and him and Romeu, because most teams in the Premier League, they play 3 central midfielders, but they still manage to look like they're controlling the midfield in matches when they're a player down.
Yeah, definitely. We've got a couple more guests coming on now. We've got Richard and Rob. How are you?
Hi, Jake. Hi, Rob. How's it going?
Yeah,
Steve?
very long time no see. How are you?
Yeah, not bad. And yourself?
Yeah, can't complain. Hunting you lot down anyway, so come on.
Yeah.
Richard, we'll start with you. We've got another Liverpool fan, and we've got to talk about it. Your loss against Rob. Your loss against Richard. Your loss against Southampton. How bad of a kind of a performance was that for you?
Yeah, we're just not clicking, are we? I mean, fair play to Southampton. They played well, kept us under the cosh. The way that Southampton sets up, they do work hard, and you've got some good. The Southampton got some good players there. Obviously, Ings being one, and obviously Ward-Prowse. So yeah, I think my main concern probably isn't so much our defence. It's probably up top just don't seem to be scored. 7 goals we scored at Crystal Palace. I would rather we scored a couple there, 2 or 3 against Southampton, a couple at Newcastle, etc., to get the wins. So yeah, it's been a bit of a struggle, and obviously having United there next to us now, that really grates me.
Ollie, before I let you go, your FA Cup tie against Aston Villa, I think that's been called off, I believe, hasn't it?
What is it?
No, has it? I can't remember. It was going up, was
They've
it?
got COVID, I think, haven't they?
Yeah,
Oh, it's a shame. And what weekend was that supposed to play then?
It's tomorrow night, isn't it?
Oh my
I
god.
think so.
Oh well.
Yeah. But Ollie, thank you very much for joining me tonight.
Or it was. All right, Jake. Cheers for having me on again, mate. See you soon.
Thanks, Ollie. Right, so Rob, we'll come to you. Man United fan. Last night, Ollie, he lost another semi-final. What was your thoughts on the EFL?
I'll try to stop laughing.
I think he's not quite got to the Klopp stage of losing lots of finals yet. So he's got another step to take. I don't know. I only caught the second half of it last night, and from what I could tell, it looked like City just wanted it more than United did. Whether that had anything to do with the fact they've been in the last 3 finals, they had that extra spur from that. I don't know. I really don't know. Maybe a little bit of legginess in our boys because they've worked their socks off lately. But yeah, all I can say is I'm glad it was the League Cup and not the Liverpool League game.
I think City have found their groove. They've stepped up against Chelsea, against United, and to be honest, personally, that I see them as the biggest threat. I could see them
Yeah.
going on a 10, 12 game winning spin, to be honest with you, while others flounder. So I think they could start pulling away from everybody.
Yeah, they're capable of it, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
They've got a massive. They've got such a big squad of good players as well.
Yeah. Well, the only thing I never understand with City is why they buy so many defenders and centre backs and stuff like that when surely it's up top with Aguero aging, but they don't spend the money up top. Because where didn't Nathan Ake leave? Was it Bournemouth for about 40 million, and he's nowhere to be seen in the side at the moment, is he?
No.
It's almost like Pep believes he doesn't need a centre forward, though, isn't it? Because he plays half the time without almost recognises. It's almost like he's trying to make a point. I don't need a centre forward.
Yeah. Well, Barcelona, he did that, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
He played with no strikers, so I don't think he's worried about Aguero's age because he just doesn't need him, does he?
Yeah. You got De Bruyne in the team, and he can pretty much do anything, can't he? Let's be fair.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So Colin and Oscar, just before I let you go, I mean, I think is it 26 points? There's about 4 teams on 26 points. I really do believe that one non-top 6 tie will get into the top 6 this season. Do you think that could be you, or are you kind of settling for mid-table?
Well, it'd be nice, but I do worry a little bit about the nature of the game we play is very high energy, requires a lot of physical commitment from the players, and up until the Liverpool game, some of them were starting to look a bit tired, and we're pretty thin on the ground in terms of injuries now as well. I got a feeling that might come back to haunt us, so I wouldn't be surprised, frankly, if we end up down in the sort of 7th to 10th, 11th position. But I'd still be happy with that. I think that's progress, and we're playing well. But yeah, I do worry a little bit about whether it's sustainable until the end of the season.
Yeah, I think Tottenham, the Spurs game, that was a big example of how it can go tragically wrong, the way we play. Like against teams that have, because we're not that, the way that the fullbacks push up, we're really exposed if a team has pace. And like Son with Kane, he just put the balls through and Son was in. That is the trouble, like teams getting in behind and then scoring loads.
Yeah. Colin and Oscar, thank you very much for joining me tonight. We've got another Southampton fan coming on very, very shortly. But thank you very much for coming on tonight.
Thanks, Jake. Good to see you again. Cheers, guys.
Cheers. Take care. Stay safe.
So a couple more fans coming on now, and we've got, as I said, Matt, who's a Southampton fan. How are you?
Very good, thank you. Yes.
And we've got Gary, who's an Arsenal fan. Gary, how are you?
Fine, thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm okay. Matt, we'll start with you then. You haven't been on the channel before. How did you become a Southampton fan?
The sound was, I don't know if that was for me, but the sound's very intermittent there.
Can the rest of you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, Matt, can you hear me at all?
You're too young to remember him, but you sound like Norman Collier. It was okay. It was all right just now, listening to everyone else.
Can you hear me now? No. Oh. Right. Gary, we'll start with you then. Arsenal fan. They've hit some good form lately. Arsenal. What's your kind of thoughts on that, and what do you put it down to?
Well, it's down to the youngsters really, because he's been playing Smith Rowe and Saka and Willock. They've all played in the under-21s together. Arsenal youth squad. They've grown up together. They just know each other and know where to put the ball all the time. It's just a case of whether they're going to be out playing them for the season. Yeah, that's all that you can put it down to, really. And it's only been 3 games anyway, so it's not out of the woods yet.
Yeah, definitely. I think they've he's played the youngsters, and it's come good for Arsenal, hasn't it?
Yes.
So Rob, will come back to you. I don't believe your game in the FA Cup's been called off. Hopefully not against Watford. It's a game you should be winning, really, Rob. Don't you think?
Yeah, really. I mean, I'm never 100% confident when United are involved. You just don't know. But looking at our recent form, before last night anyway, we're at home against Watford, who are a bit hit and miss as well. I think they're winning one, losing one, winning one, losing one. So, yeah, I'm quite comfortable that we'll beat them. That said, now I think I'll probably go and have a bet on Watford.
Yeah. So Richard, will come to you. You sit top of the table. Richard, how long do you think you can maintain that for Liverpool? Do you think it's?
Like I said, I think City are going to be pretty much getting up there. Waiting for the big day when we face them, and but nothing will give me more satisfaction than seeing Liverpool United again. That'll be that will certainly make my day, if not week, if not year to date. So we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see.
Yeah, well, I think Man United, they could possibly in there if they can sort out their kind of consistency. There's no doubt, Rob, isn't there, that your kind of front line it's impeccable, isn't it? Really, it's incredible with who've you got there: Cavani, Rashford, and then the list goes on. It's so important for you, isn't it? And I think if you can get that kind of defense, that kind of dodginess sorted, I think you could be up there, don't you think?
Well, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we are up there. So now it's about maintaining that position, really. We've been lucky with injuries so far, touch wood. Everything's looking all right, to be fair. I think he might just need to tweak it a little bit to keep the legs fresh. I think Cavani could do with a bit more game time. Greenwood as well. I was disappointed to see him only come on for 15 or 20 minutes yesterday. I thought he could have started yesterday. But yeah, it's the only weak link really I think up front we've got is Martial. And it pains me to say it because I like our Tony. Tony Marshall's been quality over the years, but he's just, I don't know whether he's on the wane or I don't know what's happening. But
yeah, he plays a bit hot and cold, doesn't he? He's
brilliant. Yeah, he's brilliant, or he wastes everything.
Yeah.
And last night was a bit of that from what I saw.
Do you guys think this is the most open season that we've had for a long while? Because I mean, anyone you can even name a team that's going to run away with it at the moment.
No, you couldn't.
No, like I said, the only one is City. I think City are going to hit some form. I think others will stutter still, and then I think City could go on a 10-game winning streak. I wouldn't like that. Obviously, wouldn't like to see that happen, but I think they've got the capability of doing that at the moment. Whereas I think everybody else, like even Liverpool at the moment, we're stuttering. Tottenham are stuttered. United haven't. United look like they're going to stutter. They find themselves 1-0 down with 5-10 minutes to go, and the next thing you know, Fernandes has popped up and Rashford popped up, and then they actually won the game rather than drawn it.
Of the Fergie days, if I'm honest, because they seem to have that attitude of we'll just score more than we concede, and we'll keep going until we do. So long may it continue.
Yeah, and De Gea as well, isn't he? He's making good saves, last minute ditch saves.
Yeah, and he's got that competition now from Henderson as well.
And it's about time he came back into a bit of form.
Yeah, it is.
It's a shame, really.
I think we've got Matt back there. Can you hear us? Oh. Not to worry. Gary, come to you. This has come up in the comments. Foshizi has said Arteta in or out, and just talk about your win in the snow in the Winter Wonderland at West Brom. 4-0 win. What's your thoughts on that? And Arteta in or Arteta out?
I think you've got to keep him in now, and he's still doing a good job. It would be better if he got the back in with a bit of extra money. It just seems to be at the moment sell players to buy players, and if you want to compete with the big boys, that ain't gonna cut the mustard. Really, it needs they need funds from above. And I've said for years, Kroenke's, I just don't. I think I don't think he fits in there. I think he's it's a difficult one.
Yeah, well, I mean, where is the money? Because like over the last when Wenger was there, and obviously you built the stadium, and they said for 10 years you guys, didn't probably have the money, but obviously that's elapsed the 10 years, and last 3 or 4
I know.
years.
After the stadium was built, we were one of the clubs that were making the most amount of money in the last years of Wenger, because he wasn't spending the money.
No. So
which
you would
is
have thought
strange, the way it's gone to. I mean, the last the party transfer, that was down to the last penny, really.
Yeah.
It is strange.
Yeah, it is. Gary, it's FA Cup weekend. You've got that FA Cup weekend. You've got Newcastle. Should you be winning this, do you think?
I think so. I think as an Arsenal fan, you've got to be confident in the FA Cup. It seems to be the only competition that they do well in. Won it 4 times in the last 7 years, 14 in total. So I think you've got to be, as an Arsenal fan, quietly confident in the FA Cup. That
Yeah, well, I think it's a cup that you always do well in. Perhaps it's because Emirates FA Cup, you're sponsored by Emirates. Perhaps there's a little bit of...
we always seem to do well against Newcastle in the FA Cup as well.
Good. You three, Gary, Richard, Rob, thank you so much for joining me tonight.
No problem, anytime.
Yep, thank you.
Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having us. Take care, everyone. Stay safe.
Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
So now, just before I do let my big kind of panel of West Ham fans come on, at 8 o'clock we will be stopping for the NHS clap that's coming back on. As I said at the start, we'll be stopping for a minute to clap for the NHS. But we've got West Ham fans galore coming on now. We've got Philip Demicoli, who's always in the comments, joining us again. Phil, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Jake. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad, and I'm good. We're going to dive into everything West Ham because there's a lot that's happened over the last couple of days. We've got a new guest. We've got James joining us, who's all the way over in Canada, who does run his own YouTube channel, as he said there. It's called From the Anvil. Make sure you go over and subscribe to his channel because he's just started up a channel and it's great stuff over there. So, James, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. So we've got Steve as well, who is a West Ham fan. Steve, how are you?
I'm well, Jake. How's you?
Yeah, I'm good. And our final guest is Gary, who is also a West Ham fan. Gary, how are you?
Hi, Jake. Nice to meet you.
Nice to see you too. So we'll start. Gary, we'll start with you. You've never been on before, so how did you become a West Ham fan?
I've asked myself that so many times over the years. I've been a West Ham fan all my life, ever since I can remember. My first memories from a kid, I think probably 1975 FA Cup final. Unfortunately, we won it that year. Maybe if Manchester United or Liverpool had won it, I'd have had a happier life. But unfortunately, you can change everything in life, but not your football team. I'm a die-hard Hammer now. Always have been. Season ticket holder in the Billy Bond stand.
Yeah, definitely. James, we'll come to you. You've never been on before as well. How did you become a West Ham fan? And you're all the way over in Canada now.
Okay, so I'll answer 2 of those. The West Ham fan thing's a bit of an interesting story. It came because I remember being 9 years old and in my dad's living room watching just some random football game on TV. Didn't actually know anything about West Ham at that time, but it was the game where at Boleyn ground with a 4-3 defeat to Spurs. And I just remember watching Tevez bending that free kick, the one where it goes off the bar and in. And my dad says, who scored? And I said, well, West Ham have just scored. And one thing kind of led to the next, got more interested in the team. And the rest, they kind of say, is history. Even though I'm not from London, I'm from Yorkshire. I just think West Ham kind of chose me in a way.
Yeah, definitely. So we got that kind of thing out of the way. Now let's dive into this season. Steve, we'll start with you. We'll get onto some transfers in a minute. But how do you think, since we've last talked, how do you think our season's gone?
Well, I mean, they're doing well. I think they buy into Moyes' way of playing. I think he's extracted a lot out of them mentally. They're tougher, stronger, so we've had good results in that. And I think we have to be realistic. We're a couple seasons off being anything because, up the league, because he is replanning the team as we speak. So I think they've done tremendous well. They've had a bit of a dodgy few games, I think, where they got results, but that would be expected. But I'm realistic. If they can get in the top sort of 8 this year, that'll be good. And like I say, I'm looking for the next couple of years. If he can, stay in post, we all get behind him, the owners back him, and you get the younger players coming through. Well, that's the essence of West Ham moving on. But I've been impressed for the first time in quite a few years. They're a hard team to beat, and that says a lot about Moyes and his coaching crew. So, yeah, I'm a happy hammer.
Yeah. Philip, you did a preview with me, I think, last week. Realistically, with these performances, we keep getting them, really, don't we? Realistically, where do you think we can finish this season? Because there's a lot of teams running for this 6th spot at the moment. Where do you think that we need to for you, where do you think we need to finish, and where do you think we will finish?
Well, go on.
No. So, I think I'd like to see us finish top 8 because I think the way we play in, because we always like to have like a top 10 finish. That's like always been our ambition, really. But I think the way we played and how tight it is, if we get like top 8, I'll be happy with that. Whether we finish 8th, if we finish like 9th or 10th, I won't be too disappointed. So yeah, top 8 for me.
Yeah, definitely. Gary, what do you think of that? Because I think there's 4 teams on, is it 26 points, and it's open. And as I keep saying, I do think a non-top 6 side is going to make the top 6 this season. Do you think perhaps there's a chance that could be us?
I think so. What's impressed me this season is our consistency away from home. I don't think we played badly at all. I know we lost at Arsenal very unluckily. We lost to Liverpool with a dodgy penalty. But Chelsea was never a 3-0. And other than that, we've been to Leicester, we've been to Spurs, unforgettably. Where we have struggled a bit is at home, surprisingly. I mean, I thought we were very lucky against Fulham and Villa. At Brighton, I don't know what happened in the first half, but the second half was a bit better. So I think if we get some consistency at home, and it looks like Haller's on his way today, and if we get another forward in that can back up Antonio's hamstrings, we could get in the top 6, I think. We could, because it's very, very close. And we've been to all the top teams. We've been to Liverpool, we've been to Leicester, we've been to Spurs. We've been to Everton. We've been to a lot of hard games, so I'm quite confident. But it's the confidence that kills me every season, I must admit. So we'll see.
Yeah. Kent said we could finish. I think it means like top 8. Depending on who we get to replace Haller and Snodgrass, we're going to get onto that. I'm going to get onto that in a minute. But James, coming to you. I think as Gary said there, I think it's been a surprise. We've had luck at home and we've been superb away from home. I think I can't help but thinking, James, that if we could have had a little bit more luck, or could have been the West Ham we've been for the rest of the season, like at Arsenal, or kind of when we were on top at Chelsea, got a point against Chelsea. If we would have got a few more of these points that perhaps we could have or should have got, where we could be even higher in the table. What do you think of that? And where do you think we're going to finish, or where would you like us to finish?
Well, usually at this stage of the season, we're looking more towards 16th, 17th in the league. So in terms of our position right now, I'm not going to complain about it being in the top half of the table. However, we're in a stage in the season where it's January's around, and the time to invest is going to either make or break a team season. For us being in the top half right now, if we really do have any niche about us, it's the sense that we've got to get players in to try and get as high as we can up in the top half. And it's very tight right now up at the top. You look at the gap between first place and even to where we are, it's 7 points. So the swing there could be really big. What I would like to see from us within this time is to still get the results that we have so far this season, because they have been impressive in general, but we need to do it a bit more on a basis where we're getting the result accordingly, if you understand what I'm saying. What I mean by that is we need to make sure that we're beating the teams around us, and the teams in the top half of the table, we're actually going for them, because we did it against Wolves, Leicester, Spurs, Everton as we said earlier, those are the teams we had to beat. We've got a pretty decent schedule with this lockdown because we have to play the bottom three and a lot of teams in the bottom half of the table. So in a nutshell, we got to crack on right now, get the results that we need to, not slip up, and not just accept the fact because we're halfway to 40 points, we can let things drop. We need to get going right now and get something that really going so that we can finish as high as we can. But in terms of personal preference, where I want to finish, I want us to finish at least top 10.
Yeah, well, I think at the moment how open the table is. Steve, coming to you. I think if we win 2 games in a row, if a team wins 2 games in a row, they could go from, as Arsenal did, from like 15th up to pretty high in the table. If we can just get a run going, I think the games we've got coming up is Burnley. We've got on West Brom, Burnley, Palace. If we can kind of get points from there, we could be high, and that's a good platform. And typical West Ham would be to just sit back and play for the 40 points. But I think we're a new West Ham, Steve, don't you think?
Oh yeah, most definitely. I think they play every game just as a one-off. I don't think they think beyond that. But I think in terms of, I think you're right in terms of those games. I think I agree with everyone else. We've got to be looking for a good top 8 finish. But I'm interested to see who they get in. If they can get the right striker, and I personally don't want them to go and spend money on someone just to get by. I hope they invest in hopefully in someone that can score goals. Because I think if we can put more chances away, then we have a more likelihood of being higher in the league. I think that's what's been missing, and I mean, so I think it comes down to that, So hopefully, we will press on. But we've definitely got to be going at teams. But I think that's their mentality nowadays. So I think, again, Moyes should take a lot of praise. He's really got in their heads and the others in his team.
Yeah, well, a couple of you have alluded to it. We've got to come to it at some stage. We'll come to transfers now. Gary, to you first. Some say lamppost up front, some say good striker up front. Sebastian Haller, it looks like today's been announced that he is out the door, going perhaps in the next day or so to Ajax. Do you think it was time for him to go? Personally, I think it was, but what did you think?
I agree, Jake. I think the lad's been unfortunate. I think he's a poor signing from Pellegrini. I mean, if you watch him when he's at Eintracht Frankfurt, he's clearly part of the front two. And then he's moved across to West Ham and asked to play the one. And he's got no pace. And his confidence at poor lad, he's shot to pieces. You can see that even in the last game, he couldn't pass it 2 yards. I think he needs a fresh break. And hopefully his career will kick on from here. He deserves it. Everyone deserves a second chance. But I think he needs to go somewhere else, and we need to get someone that's going to fit into Moyes' system with a bit more pace and power. You can see that's what Moyes wants to see, and Haller hasn't got either, unfortunately. I mean, for a 6'4" lad, he's so lightweight. It's unbelievable. Yeah. It's incredible.
Philip, coming to you first, as Haller might be leaving, I seriously hope Josh King isn't his only replacement. I don't really know with Josh King. Phil, Haller, he's out the door. What's your thoughts on that? And Josh King, is he the right replacement?
He's not the right replacement to have, because obviously he's not even getting in the Bournemouth team at the moment, and it's just another typical cheap option really from the board. If we're just going to get rid of like our top striker for big money, even though we know he's underperformed, but it's not really. I don't see Josh King really going to be like the star striker that we want. Be a good backup, I reckon, but it's got to be at least, if we're getting him, we've got to have at least another striker like who's going to be the main focal point, because we can't always rely on Antonio either. So yeah, I don't know. Not too sure about that.
Yeah, James, coming to you. I think it would be nice. We're calling out. Well, I'm certainly calling out for if we can get a quality striker to come and stand next to Antonio to play 2 up top. Would you prefer that? And thoughts on Haller going?
Well, my thoughts on Haller going are pretty mixed right now, because I'm a bit gutted to see him leave. I'm a bit gutted that it's not really worked out for him. But the issue in the long run is, I definitely think we paid way too much for Sebastian Haller, first and foremost, and a £45 million fee isn't justified there. 45 million on one player is a hell of a lot, and if you're that player, you've got to really prove that. My argument, I put this on Twitter earlier, my argument is that if there's 45 million spent there, it could go on 3 players, that could match the Moyes effect. 45 million for someone who's glossy, at 40 million for Felipe Anderson, who was glossy. Those are Pellegrini signings who fitted in with Pellegrini's, high winning mentality. Moyes just has the hard working ethos in the team. And I'm not saying that Moyes wants to do it cheaply, but what he does is he wants to get players that are affordable, but they work hard even if they are cheap. He did it with Souček, Bowen, Sofal. I think that if the 45 million, the 20 million, I believe it comes into us, we can invest that in maybe 2 or 3 players. Josh King, I do kind of want to see at West Ham because I think Moyes could get something out of Josh King because he was quite good for Bournemouth. But I also would like probably a left back to come out of that, someone like Zinchenko on loan or that Firpo from Barca, another midfielder, maybe Král from Sparta Prague, and maybe somebody like Seema. And even if Seema does come to us, it'll be because Thomas Souček's recommended him. And if a player's having to recommend another player to us, it just shows how bad our scouting system recruitment is. Well, it's virtually non-existent.
Yeah, Kieran said it. I've been told by a very good source we have 3 signings lined up, and I'm hoping that happens. But I just think in the board, is there the money there? We're calling, and I think if we can get all the signings we want, a midfielder, a striker, a left back, I think we're up there with the top teams in the league. I think, but just whether we've got the money there, I don't think is there. And definitely, I agree with Fo here. Not Lingard. Honestly, I couldn't think of. I couldn't
just
think of
find potential.
I couldn't think of anything worse. Ken Amos has said King fits the Moyes system, can play wide or through the middle, but I think we need 2 strikers because we need one with Haller still here. Anderson, Haller, my God. Pellegrini is the dinosaur, wasted a bagful. Yeah, he did waste a lot of
overpaid.
Yeah,
it's typical West Ham to overpay, though. That's the thing. It is typical West Ham to overpay for a player.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think that the signings that Pellegrini made were definitely flair players. That goes without saying. And the players Moyes has brought in, they've been superb. We've had Bowen, he's superb. Souček, he's superb with his potato salad. We've got Sofal, he is superb as well. £5 million. I think, Gary, coming to you, do you think that he should be backed with the money that Pellegrini was, if there is the money there? Because the signings he has made have been great, don't you think?
Yeah, for sure. He's made some very good signings this time round. I mean, Jordan Hughes, the first time round was a bit of a disaster. But I think in the current environment, it's clear there's no money around. I think we're going to have to sell to buy. So I don't believe the board will invest. The board's a different topic. I think we all have opinions on the board. I don't think they'll back David Moyes this time. Hopefully in the summer, if this COVID thing's settled down a little bit, there's a bit more transparency, and maybe they'll dip their hands in their pockets. But I just don't trust the board really. I think Moyes has done a very good job with limited funds. But he's obviously been told he's got to sell before he can buy. I think we're massively reliant on Rice and Souček in the middle. If we get an injury on one of those 2, we're in big trouble because Nogue's legs has gone. Snodgrass was getting sold. We've got literally nobody else in the team to play there. And same up front, if Antonio goes injured now, it'd be typical West Ham to sell out there and not buy anybody else. So I really hope that we've got someone lined up because we're very weak in some key areas. Central midfield, central forward, definitely.
Yeah. See, this is a topic as well. Dalek said I would sell Diop, and if it means getting money in, I mean, I think Balbuena is better than Diop personally. I think there's always a mistake in Diop. I think there's a mistake in Balbuena, but when Diop's there, I just don't feel the same kind of. I don't really. I don't feel the same trust.
Well, I agree, but he's only 23, so you've got to give him a bit of time. I think that's the thing with him. He's got some age on his side.
Yeah. Steve, would you keep or sell Diop?
I think he's young. I think he's got a bit more potential. I think he needs a more steady team around him. No, I wouldn't get rid of him. I'll throw a name in the hat for a striker, Adam Armstrong from Blackburn. I think he's 23 years of age, scored a lot of goals, went through Newcastle's academy. He knows where the net. He's quick. He's sharp. He's on our doorstep. We're linked to a lot of players, but there's a young lad. I think he's only 23. We want young players. I think he could he would be worth a gamble. I really do think that. I mean, Villa took Watkins, and he looks fantastic. And I just think Armstrong's one that we should. I know we've been linked and has been scouted, but I like the look of the lad. I think he could be really useful because he definitely knows where the net is.
Yeah, well, I think I'd rather we bring in kind of a young English centre forward and go out to. Well, I'm all up for buying someone from Slavia Prague if Souček knows the player, but I just think bringing in flair players, that's not Moyes, and I don't think he'll do that. Foe has said we need a left back / left wing back. Firpo, my choice. Central midfield, Lundstrom, maybe. Clinical striker, Musa Dembele, and a backup striker, Josh King. We want all this stuff, Foe, but there isn't the money there. That's just the bottom line, I think. Phil, if we come to you, we're linked with everyone, basically. West Ham, that's just West Ham, really, isn't it? But do you think perhaps central midfield, Snodgrass, we'll get onto him in a minute, he's off, pretty much nailed on. Central midfield, it's hard to pick anyone, really. Have you got anyone that you kind of think that could come in?
Not off the top of my head. Like we said already, we obviously heavily rely on Bryce and Souček, and obviously, as you said already, Noble's legs have gone. Lundstrom, we was linked with him a couple of months ago, I think, because he turned down a new deal at Sheffield United, so he'll probably be a good backup. But I don't know, if we wanted to bring someone half decent in, they'll probably want to be like first team starter, but obviously you can't guarantee that because we've got the best midfield partnership in the league. I don't know. Obviously we've got other youngsters in the youth academy, but it's probably better to find someone pretty decent from a Premier League team, or if there's anyone from Prague as well. But maybe I'll probably just stick with Lundstrom just because he's the only one of note that I've sort of knew that we've had any link with.
Yeah, Foe said if we sell Haller, there's money. Jake, remember we only spent 5 million in the summer. Yeah, we did, but I just hopefully there's money there. But after kind of selling these players, but whether it will go and they'll back Moyes is unknown, really. I think Kieran Dawson has done well, but I think long-term Diop has a great potential. Yeah. Dalek, what about Josh Silva? He done good against Spurs the other day, but got sent off. I mean, there's 10s, 20s, 30s of players we can sign. We are linked with absolutely everyone. We'll come on to our other main kind of transfer story now. Snodgrass to West Brom, bless him. I love the man, but I think it could be a good move for him if he wants to play football. Gary, what's your thoughts on Snodgrass and him starting to West Brom? To a Big Sam.
Yeah, I agree with you, Jake. I mean, he's 33 years old. He's played 4 minutes this season. I mean, from the dead ball, he's fantastic. But I think again, he's not going to be a dynamic box-to-box midfielder we need in the team. So he's a very good squad player. But if I was him, I'd take the 18-month deal and West Brom and go. In terms of replacements, I think I read today somewhere that the French TV deals collapsed and all the French clubs are in financial trouble. So we should be looking at that market maybe. Maybe we pick up another Dimitri Payet somewhere. Obviously not Payet himself, but someone like him in one of the teams. So this could be an option, maybe the French team. But I think the problem we have is we haven't got a very good director of football or a scouting system that should be already in place for what we're going to buy. This is the trouble with West Ham, I'm afraid. There's no long-term planning and thinking about these things. But so hopefully we'll find someone anyway. Or Moyes has got, in Moyes we trust. As you said earlier, Jake, he's done well the last 3 signings, so hopefully he'll do something else again.
Yeah, if he's backed, he'll bring in a good player. I can guarantee with that. Steve, we've been linked with Arnautovic again. Hopefully that nothing comes of that because I do not want to see that man in a West Ham shirt again. Arnautovic, thoughts on that, Steve?
No, he's. I don't think. I know there's been information today. In the last few days past, and players liked him and Moyes likes him, but I think he's 31. I don't think he's that fit over in China. I want him to go for a younger player. I want to take a bit more of a gamble. I think it'd be a step back. Personally, I'm not a fan now for him. I was back along. but not now. I think. No, I'm not a King fan either. We need someone who can score goals. I'm more of a gambler in the market now, but I don't see no point in that. But I have to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't turn up. I think that's just could happen.
Yeah, it would be typical West Ham. And Kieran, hope Snoddy does well. He will be missed in the dressing room more than the pitch. I think, yeah, he's definitely a morale booster in the dressing room, I think. And he's a big kind of player in there. And I love him, really. He's brilliant. But I just can't help but thinking with these transfers, if we do a typical West Ham, don't bring people in and we sell Snodgrass and Haller, we're up there and we've got Antonio. That's the only striker we've got up there. James, coming to you, that'll be typical West Ham. And then we're stuck. I don't even know whether we've got a kind of a academy striker, and it will be typical West Ham to do. And we'd be left with putting either Ben Rama or Bowen up front, which isn't their position, and they don't play well there. I think, James, I just can't help but thinking it. Let's hope it doesn't happen. But yeah.
Well, I was listening to you talk just then. Do we even really have an academy anymore? Because it seems every single young player that comes through that ends up getting sold on for cheap money. Look what happened with Diane Garner. That's 18 million that we sold him for. Where the hell's that gone? I mean, I haven't seen that spent anywhere. The excuse the board's going to use is simply, oh, that's going to go off towards the Ben Rama payment. But we shouldn't really have to do this in general. We shouldn't have to sell players in order to fund, especially when you consider that we're constantly told the 18th richest club in the world and a billionaire owner. Why doesn't he just take money out and give it to Moyes? And if eternity that doesn't happen, Moyes, in a way, should be putting his foot down with the board and demanding what he wants. Because I bet Moyes deep down inside is frustrated and annoyed at these owners for some of the things they're doing. And I don't know really how we can survive without a scouting system or anything in place. Because with other clubs have got a scouting system. They have scouts and recruitment, and things are getting done very quickly. Things are getting done quickly. Transfers are getting done within 2 or 3 days. We let things drag on and ends up collapsing over some minor details. And it's an absolute joke. It's an absolute shoddy businessmanship from David Sullivan. Because if they're not going to leave, they could at least have some scouting system or director of football in place to limit Sullivan's power. And that way we can actually get some kind of structure within to the club as to what we need, instead of panic buying a big striker and not using him to his potential, or getting incredibly thin, which is just, as you say all the time, typical West Ham. Thin squad, big money signings that don't pay off, and a lack of academy. It's everything against what was the core value of the club and what we should have if we want to fight higher up in the league.
Yeah, you pretty much summed that up there. We've got the 8 o'clock thing in 2 minutes. We're just going to finish off on transfers. Now, I think there's, as we said, there's loads and loads and loads and loads of players. But to round it off, Phil, well, if we could sign one position, one player from one position, where would you get it?
Well, obviously it's going to be a striker. But I don't know who I really, really want as a to sign. I'm going to say, obviously, you mentioned Adam Armstrong as well, good player, but I'd like to say Ivan Toney from Brentford, because he's a pretty hot player so far, from what I've seen for Brentford this season. If we're going to sell Haller within this next week, use that money, invest it and sign him, get that done deal straight away. And then no doubt, I reckon he can bang in some goals for us for the rest of the season. Bit like when when we signed Dean Ashton back in 2006, got him from the Championship, scored some goals, and we loved him. I'd like to think, get someone like Toney, he can do something very similar.
Yeah, I think as I said earlier, we've got to back some young players. But by the time, but my time now, it says 8 o'clock, and I'd like to say a huge thank you to all of our NHS staff who are helping on the front line in our kind of. Yeah, so thank you to all of our NHS staff out on the front line. It's a tough time in another lockdown in England, and yeah, thank you to all of our NHS staff who's keeping our country going. And I believe outside now. There should be people clapping as we've brought that back for our third and hopefully final lockdown. But as I said, thank you to our NHS staff, and we'll move on to our next game now. Gary, we'll start with you. It's FA Cup time. Stockport, it would be typical West Ham to go and chuck it away there. But what's your thoughts on that game, and Gary, how do you think it'll pan out?
Well, the first thing you got to do is check that Ian Dower's not playing, but I don't think he is. So we should be okay. There'll be no own goal of the season. No, it depends what team he puts out. I understand he's going to play this Adebeko from the reserves or the under 23s. The Moyes likes as a forward, and it depends what team he puts out. I don't know much about Stockport, to be honest with you, Jake. I know they're in the National League and they're riding high, and they've got a new owner, and they're about fourth. So, but really, 5 divisions to difference. We should have the quality to beat them. So I'm going to go for a 2-0 win.
Yeah, it should be good. So let's kind of break down the starting 11. Steve, we'll start with you. What do you think our back line should be, considering everyone's fit?
Well, I would keep it reasonably the same. Maybe bring one of the youngsters in. Maybe that's the right back who played back along. But I'd keep it fairly steady, because I think winning creates confidence that goes on again to winning. So we've got to keep winning. I wouldn't want to see him change it too much. But I'd keep, obviously it looks like Randolph's going to be in goal, but I'd keep the back four the same. I really would, in my opinion. But maybe give a youngster a chance. Maybe the lad they bought from Denmark, maybe he can have a run out there. But I wouldn't change it too much.
Yeah, so obviously there's a couple of people put some stuff in the comments. Nathan Trott, he's there. He's our third keeper, I think. I think Noble, we've got to give Souček and Rice a rest, haven't we?
Yeah.
Perhaps, well, who knows? He could start. I wouldn't put it past Moyes, but I think them two, they need a rest at some point. But it is going without saying, I think Bonner's played every single game this season. Does he need a rest for this game as well? Phil, what do you think of that?
Yeah, I'll give him a rest. He played an awful lot of games this season, being our best defender. Yeah, it's only, I mean, don't want to belittle them, but it is only Stockport County at the end of the day. I mean, Valbuena and Dawson, they're more than capable of playing together. Diop, I know he's been a bit iffy recently, but you know, give him a run out. Yeah, so I'm happy with Valbuena getting a rest for sure. And then
yeah, but I think especially with Dawson there as well. I think Dawson Valbuena could be a good setup there. James, for the midfield, would you keep it with Rice and Souček? They've played every minute yet again, but should they stay there, or do you think we should switch it up a bit?
Switch it up a bit, definitely. I think Rice and Souček have taken a lot of game time this season. They've been working a lot. It's the FA Cup. It's a chance, obviously, to bring young players through. I'm not sure if Connor Coventry is actually back from injury yet, but I'd be tempted to put him in there. Maybe in terms of wingers, possibly even drop Bowen out of that, to be honest, because he's worked quite a bit. Maybe stick Yarmolenko in, even though he can't use both feet and is pretty slow. But I think this is just a good opportunity of the FA Cup in general, just to use some of our younger players. Harrison Ashby was mentioned in the comments that I just saw there. Is it Empo de Baco? I think he's called, that striker. Everyone's talking about. Give him some game time. Coventry has been mentioned in there. Just get some youth players to come up, because this is what Moyes wants. If Moyes says he wants this RB Leipzig model, he's got to start using these youth players. FA Cup's a perfect chance of that against a lower opposition.
Yeah, but I think I'd like some changes in there, because some of these players, honestly, they need a rest. But I think there is a point where we could be taking the mickey a bit. I think we have got to kind of play some of the players that do work hard. So I think we've got to go Randolph in goal, perhaps Dawson and Balbuena. I think I'd start Johnson on left back, perhaps. Then you've got, I think I'd keep Sofao in. What we do with the midfield, I don't know. Up front, I mean, he doesn't need to start Antonio. Gary, he doesn't need to start Antonio. I don't think he will. If if Haller's still here, he'll start. But if not, perhaps someone else that's come in, or a just like a academy player. Gary, what would you do up top?
Well, as you said, we've literally got nobody. I wouldn't play Antonio. It's too risky with his hamstrings. Haller, you can't play. If you've got a 20 million deal lined up for him, you can't put him against a Stockport centre-back. It's going to kick him in the air. So we can't do that. And we're literally got Adebeko, I believe, in the reserves. Silver's on loan in Greece. And literally, that's all we've got. We've got nobody, unless you play Bowen up front, or unless you play Yarmolenko up front, unless you play with Lanzini as a false nine. We're very, very, very short up front. So
Yeah, we are.
The goals that I really don't.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big thing. I don't know much about Stockport, and I'm sure you guys don't know about them either, but let's hope that as a professional West Ham side that we've become this season, that we can professionally get the win. James, how do you think the game's going to pan out? Do you think hopefully we're going to have full control with this, but do you think that's going to be the case?
Full control is not what I'm going to go for. Actually, I'm not going to count my chickens or anything like that, because I don't want to come back and let that bite me. But I think we need to go with a semi-strong team, because bear in mind, we still got to get a job done. And the FA Cup is one place where West Ham tend to struggle, especially when it's against lower opposition. We struggled at Gillingham last year. We struggled against other teams.
Wimbledon,
Oxford, yeah. Wimbledon, oh yeah. Tried to forget about that. And think, if the FA Cup, if we really want to get anywhere, we've got to take these cup competitions seriously. Now we've got to not just say, if we get knocked out, we can just focus on the league. No, I want us to do an FA Cup run. Stockport County, all due respect, they are a lower league team, and so there should be extra emphasis on us getting a result out of this game. One, to avoid embarrassment, and two, to progress.
Yeah, definitely. So Steve, how do you think it's going to pan out for you? If we've got to get past Stockport, surely.
Well, yeah, like I said, I think Moyes' mindset is he takes every game to win it, and obviously it's a winning mentality. So they need to go to win, maybe a professional win, then where they don't have too many changes, but they've definitely got to go to win, and perform. It won't be an easy game, I don't think, because none of these games are. But I think West Ham are a different side, of a different mentality than they've ever been for a lot of years. So I think they can go and do a job. I don't really sure what team they'll put out, but I think they're going to do a professional job, and they'll get the win. And I think Moyes will be pushing the cup this year as well.
Yeah.
So that all benefits the league as well. So yeah.
Yeah, well, I think I think it'll be so nice to see a cup run, because let's be realistic, Philip. I think that's the only silverware we've got a chance of winning in the next couple of seasons. It'd be nice to see a cup run. How do you think it's going to pan out, Philip?
Oh, I'd love to see a cup run. I ain't seen a decent FA Cup run for probably not since we actually reached the final. But you're only as good as the opponents you're facing, really. So with Stockport, it could be a really scrappy game, because these smaller teams, they're always really up for it when they're coming against a big team. A couple of years ago, one of the last games I ever went to live was when we played Macclesfield in the Carabao Cup, when we beat them 8-0. If we can get a performance like that, then that'd be brilliant. And then roll on whoever we potentially could get in the fourth round, and then just take every round as it comes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So before I let you guys go, let's go predictions. Gary, you've already gave us your prediction, but Steve, prediction hit me. Are we gonna do them?
Yeah, I see a solid 2-0 win.
That'd be good. James, what's your prediction?
Mine, I'm going to see the 2-0, 3-0.
Be good. And Philip?
I'm going to go for a 4-0 victory for us.
Ooh.
Lovely.
Big talking.
That would be lovely. Thank you very much, guys, and don't forget to go over to James's channel From the Anvil. Let's get him to 50 subscribers. A good channel coming up through the ranks, James. So keep on going there. And thank you everyone for coming on tonight. Philip, James, Gary, Steve, thank you for coming on to talk West Ham.
No
Pleasure.
problem. Anytime.
Pleasure.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks a lot.
And there we go. So let's just go through Kieran's comment before I do the next part of this. Kieran, we need to field a team to win no more than 4 changes. You know how good we are at losing these games. Yeah, I definitely think so. If you go into the comments of tonight's video, I have made a website. There's a website link there, and I'm going to bring that up now. So here it is. I'm going to put this in full screen for you. So it's West Ham Official. I've made a website. There's a link there to my channel as you're on now, West Ham Unofficial. I've put the Trevor Brookins stand in up to part there. We're going to get to that contact stuff in a minute. So we're just going to go through it. We've got the about section. You can go into the link and read all of this stuff later on if you want. Meet the team. There's me, good old me, Jake Cox. And here I've left the videos on the next one. I put all of my videos. And here's tonight's video. Actually, no, we won't start that yet because there we go. That's where I am. And then there's a what can you expect? Obviously, all you guys know what to expect from this channel. There's my channel link again and what I do on this channel. And I'd like to put on here that this contact thing, you can go on there. If you would like to appear on a show, you can go onto the website. This is a new thing that I've done. You can go onto the website. I'm just going to put myself onto camera. You can go onto the website. You can put your name, your email, your subject, and your name and that, and say I want to come on a show. I can email you back, send you a link, and you can come on one of these Thursday night shows if you wish. You could be any fan. It would be great to, for you, for some of you West Ham fans in the comments to come on. I've come into contact with Philip. He's come on. He's absolutely great. But as I said, you can go on there in the link and say I want to come on a show, and I will get back to you as soon as possible for you to come on a show. So that is it. It's tonight. We've done a 1 hour and 12-minute show. Thank you guys in the chat for interacting. Fo, Dalek, Kieran, all of you guys. You're brilliant here every single week. We did our clap for carers. Again, thank you so much, all of you NHS workers out on the front line. And subscribe to West Ham Unofficial. We are getting to 500 subscribers, and we're going to get there as soon as possible. So thank you very much, guys, for joining me tonight. And I will see you very, very soon. I'll see you on Sunday, I believe, for a preview for the Stockport game with some of my normal preview guests. So without further ado, that is it. I'm going to leave you in peace now. Come on, you irons, and I'll see you very, very soon. From me, Jake, from West Ham.